Hello, this is my build for the Elemental Slayer Magicka Necromancer support DPS build. This is a little different build. It's something I conjured up to kind of gel with the other builds that I have on this list. So just keep that in mind. This is meant to work with all the other things. It may not work for your group, but this is what I like to do because this works very well with a lot of situations. So we'll go over the stat sheet real quick. I have all 64 attributes into Magicka. This is my Magicka Necromancer. I'm using the Thief Mundus Stone. So let's go over the skills. I have Barb Trap on the front bar to give me Minor Force, proc Hemorrhage status effect, as well as buff my damage with the Fighter's Guild passive. I know I misspoke about that on the previous video. This is a spammable of sorts for the build, although this one is as well. The Blighted Blast Bones. I have a Magicka Traveling Knife set up to do magic damage. It also increases the chance to apply status effect by 100% for 10 seconds, and it procs off balance for the group. Then this is the Detonating Siphon, staple skill for the Necromancer. And then I have an Unnerving Boneyard to proc frost damage for the Elemental Catalyst set, as well as apply Major Breach and Minor Vulnerability, and gives a group synergy for the Grave Robber down there on the bottom. If you consume a corpse, this will also hit 30% harder. So you want to keep this up to proc this and this to get corpses. So on my front bar as well, I have the Colossus. I know a lot of people run the Fighter's Guild Flawless Dawnbreaker. I am running this on the front bar for a very specific reason. Two reasons, actually. This will increase my critical strike rating when an enemy gets under 40% health, or excuse me, 25% health, because I have 4 Gravelord's abilities slotted on my front bar. So I'm going to get 40% increased critical chance from the Death Knell passive when an enemy gets down to execute. So my back bar, I have a lot of scribing skills on this build to make Elemental Catalyst easier to run, as well as proccing several other things for the group. I have a Bloody Contingency here. This helps proc the Mages Guild passives for Max Magicka and Mag Recovery, because I have the Meteor and the Contingency set here. So I have bleed damage, plus it gives me recoveries. This is my AoE shock damage, and it also procs Minor Brittle for 20 seconds, so that increases another 10% on top of the Elemental Catalyst set, so that's 25% increased critical damage for the group. Huge. Then I have a Physical Sundering Burst here, with also grants Minor Courage to the group. Wasn't really quite sure to put on the bottom there for a buff. I may change that because healers usually provide courage, so that's just kind of a flex right now. But I've got physical damage, fire, shock, frost, bleed. Here's some more fire damage, and then here's the skeletal archer that does physical damage, and it also gives me brutality and sorcery when it's out. So that's the skills that I have slotted. So let's go over a couple of things on the character sheet. This right here is my penetration. But you need to remember one thing about when your Grave Lord is active. So I need to activate an ability to have this go up. So as long as I'm in the 4,000 range, I'm going to be over pen with the other team members involved that I've gone over. So I'm sitting at a 31.5% critical chance that's unbuffed. So if I want to up my critical chance on this build, I need to proc this skill right here to give me major savagery and prophecy. So how do you do that? Well, you have to throw an enemy a blast bones to create a corpse, and then you can proc that. And then you can see I'm up to 43.5% critical chance. So as long as I keep this siphoning going, I can hit that again and hit those two skills are needing a corpse. So what else do we need to show on the build? The gear sets. I have a War Machine on this build from the Halls of Fabrication. Now I know this is weird because normally this is not run in trials, but I'm trying to get rid of the Rojo problem of not having high uptimes, and that's taking up 10 slots for one buff. This can be much better if you coordinate in your group. See my off healer build with running Master Architect for more information on that. Then I'm running the Maelstrom Perfected Inferno staff again for the increased damage to the Wall of Elements. The Encrateas Behemoth set buffs group damage for fire by 5%. War Machine is a stamina line there, does not help the build because I'm a Magicka build. However, when I hit this ultimate and it gives the group 20 seconds of major vulnerability. Well, you're going to say, well, it says 17 there. When you fire this, it hits 3 times and it resets the timer. So you get 17 seconds. Now you'll say, oh, okay, well, why didn't that fire off the Major Slayer? This is an important part to remember when you're doing this. When you use an ultimate while in combat. So if you're going to do this, you need to hit the enemy with something prior to firing off the ultimate. Then you'll get the Major Slayer buff, as you can see right there, right up next to my food buff. The timer is ticking, and then up above the enemy there, the Major vulnerability is ticking. And that major vulnerability can be extended by the main tank running Nazare, so that can be extended out to a total of 45 seconds. So this build is giving 5% increased fire damage, 50 seconds of Major Slayer, increasing group damage by 10%. Then I have the Elemental Catalyst set is active on all the time because I've got it on the jewelry, bloodthirsty, and weapon damage. And then I have the gloves and the waist. That way, no matter what bar I'm on, Elemental Catalyst is always active. So, okay, where's the other set sitting? War Machine is sitting on the feet, the legs, and the chest. And then I have front bar daggers to make 5 pieces. So you don't need to always have this active because you're only proccing it with your ultimate. It's a medium armor set. You want to run this on a DPS as opposed to Master Architect because that's a light set. This is medium. You need to be in medium armor. DPS, you need to have as many pieces of medium armor as you can to keep your weapon damage up where it needs to be. So your penetration, again, this will go up when I proc the Grave Lord's ability. The crit will also go up to 40 plus critical chance. Proc that, proc that, proc that, proc that. And then we've got a lot more weapon damage going on here than normal. And I'm running a tripot potion because I don't need Major Brutality and Sorcery or Savagery and Prosody because they're covered with those 2 skills. So I can run tripods for the potion. For the food, I'm running Ghastly Eyeball again because that gives me the most max Magicka as well as a high amount of mag recovery. So this will gel very well with my powerful Zen build that has powerful assault and Zen's redress. Then we have War Machine and Elemental Catalyst with Encrateas Behemoth, stacking with the support sets of Zoran's Masterpiece, Master Architect to pair with this, as well as Pearlescent Ward and Crimson Oath, and then the main tank running Perfected Lucent Echoes and Glacial Guardian with Nazare. So couple of things you can do with running the War Machine Master Architect pairing. You can choose to have both of those people fire off their ultimates at the same time and give the entire group Major Slayer for 50 seconds. Or you can stagger them, and let's say you have 5 Arcanists in your group. Hopefully they're Azure Blight Arcanists because that'll buff them extremely well. The 5 closest people plus you get this buff. So what you can do is you can have them stack on you, and if you wanted to, you could probably put like something like this on you to help them find you rather. When you drop the ultimate on the enemy, like that there, they're going to get it because they're close to you. Have everybody else kind of separate a little bit and have your Arcanists or whoever it is you're wanting to give you the buff to stand right on top of you, and it'll go to them. And then you can switch the other person. When that drops off, you can have the Master Architect person do the same thing and give the long Major Slayer buff to those people. You can pick who gets it, or you can just give it to the whole group, however you want. Now I've created a schedule on how to fire off everybody's ultimate. I'm still trying to figure out how to present that and draw that up, but I may get that in a later video, I'm not sure, but that's this video. I will go into some other support role that I've made, and then I will cover the Arcanist DPS that go along with all these builds to become a very strong Trials team. Thank you for watching.